Aloha and welcome to Mystery, Mystics, and Metaphysics. I am your host, Psychic Intuitive Geralyn St. Joseph. It is my great pleasure to have my friend, Shaman Heather Kalea, with us today. Heather is one of my go-to people when I'm having an issue, if I need help with something or I need to figure things out. As a fellow practitioner, I consider her a peer, and I can honestly say that her work is wonderful. We're going to be talking about what she's doing currently, and I am working with her currently on a new, what would you say, type of amping up or clearing?
It's definitely an upgrade.
Yes, the new type of upgrade. And I'll tell you what my experience has been so far, and I'm a little more than, I'm 2/3 of the way through it. So let's begin. Welcome, Heather. And you're coming to us from Western US, correct?
Arizona. Yep.
Arizona. And are you near Sedona or are you in?
I'm kind of halfway between Sedona and we call it the Valley, Phoenix. So, but I'm up northern Phoenix. Yeah, it's beautiful up here.
Okay, awesome. And do you do most of your sessions, are they over the phone or are they through Zoom? Are you in person? Like, how do you like to work with people?
Well, right now, after the pandemic and all that, I basically just do everything over the phone. So I don't need to see anybody. I don't need to touch anybody. I can, because I'm basically, my eyes are closed, and I guide people through what I see through my, I don't know how you would explain
intuitive senses.
Yeah, I basically, I'm the conduit for source. So I take people up to the Chamber of Stars, into a healing chamber with source, and that's God, Goddess, pure creator, prime creator. And I can view what's happening with that person through source. So I become the vessel. I guess it would be considered in a channeling aspect, but I'm not really channeling.
Yeah, most people know me, know I don't like channeling.
Yeah, I mean, nothing's coming into me, but I'm able to see everything with permission from my client. But yeah, everything's over the phone, and it's very efficient, and I work pretty fast because I go into those. Yeah, I go into these higher realms, and usually the normal session's about 30 minutes, but I mean, that entails cellular memory, biological and DNA upgrades, going back to our divine blueprint. I don't diagnose or anything under a medical standpoint. I do see things that are blocked, energy areas in the body, and I might suggest, like, oh, I see something in your chest, and you know, there's a part of your spine or something, and then we just kind of move the energy. But that's basically all I ask the beings and source to do for the client. I personally do nothing other than ask.
You start the whole thing, and you just are the conduit so that it gets done. Do you have a specific name to this specific type of healing? And other than this, are there other things that you do? But before we start that, what I want to go back and talk about is, when people talk to us, they always want to know, like, what's your background? How did you start? Is this something that you've always done? Is there anybody specific that you worked with that helped you really awaken your intuitive powers or whatnot? And those types of questions. So what is your background? Like, how did you get into this?
Well, I was always able to see spirits when I was little. But then I kind of got through life and saw that was not benefiting me in any way, because everybody thought I was, imagining it. I'm it's the boogeyman, all these things. I didn't have any childhood like friends or anything, like what are they, imaginary friend. I didn't have any of that, but it was just always in me. And I always had a really strong connection to God and Jesus.
Mhm.
And I always felt they were with me, and Mary, Holy Mother Mary. And that's exactly how I address her. And I just could see things and know things. I'd have dreams. I could help people that have crossed over, and I didn't even know how to do it or why I was doing it. And then I had a few near deaths. We've had a interview about that, which maybe we could loop people back to, because it's a lot of information. But with each near death experience, I was given greater abilities and more advanced upgrades, basically, from source. And I just listen. I get out of my head, I get out of my way, and I listen. I have worked with avatars all over the world. I've worked with kahunas and shamans and Tibetan monks, Native Americans. I've worked with beings that are not in body.
So would you say a lot of what you do is kind of like, it comes in downloads and or it's memory?
Well, the
Like
stuff
you're
that I was
tapping into
taught,
ancient memory,
well, definitely from that, maybe past lives, things like that, but it's never been confirmed. I mean, it's this inner knowing, this sacred knowledge, and I am a wisdom keeper. So this information is in me, in a program in my head somewhere. It's a perfect computer. Our brain is this dynamic, fascinating device that it surpasses any supercomputer that we have on Earth. And I am really, really interested in finding, if we could access those parts of our brain so that people could develop on their own, self-healing, all these abilities that we have, and we only use such a small fraction of it. I do have visions. I do have dreams. I kind of navigate that as to what it could mean. It's kind of cryptic, but it's very informative. Does that make sense? It's like, it's a great mystery. I'm always given information, and then I have to piece it together and
figure it out. Yeah.
And find what is the most important aspect of this that I need to focus on. And in these current things that I'm doing, I basically just rely completely on source, because like the Tibetan traditions, less is more. And actually a lot of the native traditions, less is more. And I had to do like a whole information dump, because I studied, and I have college background. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, and I learned all about the brain and neuro-linguistic programming. And I even went into physical therapy, understanding the body. And it was just all these little things that it's this divine map that I was guided to. And now where I'm at, I'm only here to do these upgrades for the next 2 years, which we're at 1.5 years now. And that's the only thing I'm doing. And it's very similar to what all this fiber optics and all this new cable and stuff we're getting. Well, our bodies need the same upgrades. So our channels need to be clear going to source, and we need a broader vessel to get us there. Yeah, we need broadband. And
is there something, do you have a specific name that you're calling it right now? Or are you just saying, this is me? And like, how are you identifying what you're doing, I guess would be?
I am I mean, I don't know how people believe in karma or things like that, but
Mhm.
basically I'm here to assist people to get out of their own way and to be connected to a pure channel, pure source, and to get out of their story. Um, and I found that when I did do readings and I was a psychic and I worked with people in that manner, providing people with future timeline information was actually harming, because I mean, I don't like the, maybe not harming isn't the best word, but
Well, some people try to skip over things. I mean, I know what you're saying because being a reader
well, I was
myself,
getting in their way.
yeah.
I was interfering in their free will. And so this last near death I had, I got the whole download of everything is I can't do anything without permission.
Mm-hmm.
And that includes, like, if a parent calls me and says, can you do this for my child? And I'll say, no, your child has to speak to me.
Mm-hmm.
I can't interfere anymore, because if
Mm-hmm.
I suggest that, oh, you're going to fall in love with this beautiful, handsome woman or man, and he's going to be tall and his name is going to be,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, that's not the type of information that
His
I give
name is
either. And
going to be
I've
Michael.
always done the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and her name's going to be Donna or Diane. And then they're so fixated on that one thing that they actually miss out
Mm-hmm.
on the experience of other people, because they're like, oh, well, my psychic told me this. And I'm certainly not downplaying what people do, because there's a lot of very talented people out there. I just know for my personal right now, what I'm allowed to do, and I use that word very explicitly, there's an allowing and a permission that has to happen. So I tread very lightly, but I also, if I pull up someone's field and I see they have, so what I'm doing right now is going into the astral field for them, the quantum field, and the etheric field, because right now it's full of space debris, you want to call it. And I go in and I clean the basement. I drain the swamp. I mean, I get everything out of their way so
Mm-hmm.
they can be in their own power and their own energy and light and their own journey. And a lot of people, I think, interfere with other people's free will, even their own families. And we think, well, I got to help this person. I got to do this. Well, that person has their own process, their own purpose as well. And your job is to walk side by side with them.
Mm-hmm.
And if they fall down, maybe help them up, listen to them, hold a space for them, a sacred space for them to, number one, make their own mistakes. Number two, learn their own lessons. And number three, stand on their own.
Mm-hmm. So I want to get to some of the questions because they're piling up.
Okay.
So the first one, of course, was what do you call this type of healing? And as you described it, it is a direct connect to source. Is it a branch of intuitive medical healing? I would say no, from your description. Do you find that after you've had sessions with people that you might also get a view of what practices they might want to start or continue as a follow-up? Like so far as like using certain crystals or certain types of cleansings, or, certain traditions like start yoga or do whatnot. Do you find yourself getting any of that type of information for people?
The most important thing I tell people after one of these sessions is that they might have a spiritual and physical detox.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, alcohol and any kind of substance of any kind that alters the brain state is not advisable for up to 30 days after this work, because it is so intense.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where this might be helpful, is that Geralyn is actually working with me right now.
Yes, it's awesome.
Yeah. And it is not for everybody. I've also found that too. Like if a person calls me and says, "Oh, this person referred me," and they said I have to do past life clearing of my father and my mother. Well, regardless of what happened to that in that story, and I use terms like story, program, frequency.
Mhm.
It sounds very cryptic and computer like, but that's exactly what it is. It's a file, it's a program, and it's a story. And that's an old story. So I tell people, if you're watching an old movie, like an old Western, and then you watch something current time, you're going to be like, wow, that's really different. I mean, even the way they communicated and how they
Interacted with one
exchange.
another and everything.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of violence and a lot of abuse, and now we are becoming a better, believe it or not. I know a lot of people don't think so, but even the animals are becoming more sentient and conscious, and there's a lot more information that's being spread. But the more compassion and kindness and understanding we can have right now, the better we make our own world. And it comes to just, if you want to change the world, you got to start with yourself, because you
Yes.
can't point the finger at someone else and say, well, this person, if they would change, or if this group of people would just stop doing this.
Well, I love Jesus's story about why are you complaining about the splinter in your brother's eye when you have a log in your own? Like that cracks me up. He had to be one of the funniest people ever. Because some of the things he says, I just cracks me up. So here's the next one. You've done many sessions. Have you come away with any patterns you're seeing for any particular groups? Young women, older women, Gen X, people trying to leave restrictive beliefs, younger men trying to start spirituality. Are you seeing patterns there? And I'll give you the second half of this. If you come up with something most or many people could start doing that would help them the most, what would it be? So as you're looking if you're seeing any patterns, are you seeing anything that people, if they chose to, could be doing to help themselves be more clear?
I actually have seen it's interesting, because people in our age group and older, there's a lot of family abuse, sexual abuse, things like that come up. And basically what that looks like to me is that the womb area in the woman needs to be healed, and the masculine is the heart and above. So I'm seeing a lot of blocks in people. So the older generation, it's all family trauma or physical personal trauma. If I hope I'm answering that correctly. And actually in the millennials, I'm seeing a lot of over abuse of sacred plant medicine. I can't even tell you how many people I work with who do ayahuasca on every weekend, or peyote, and they're just like, yeah, but I'm in Sedona and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, okay, once or twice in your entire life, and this needs to be medicine with someone who is a shaman who knows the prayers and who holds the space for you. There's what I'm seeing in the 20 plus year olds who are doing these sacred plant medicines. And I'm not just haven't even touched the drug thing, but the actual plant-based medicines, they're opening portals and vortexes in their fields. And I get to them and they're just like, I mean, 4 or 5 portals open full of these interdimensional beings and these miscreated energies and all these, they're just a doorway for things. And maybe I shouldn't share that, I don't know, but it does concern me, because they take things now that are sacred and they turn it into a recreational drug, and it's not. And it should never be treated like that.
Yeah. They take the sacred and they make it mundane. They pull it down and make it into something that it should not be.
Yeah. And there's a lot of the star seeds. I mean, these new star seeds are phenomenal. Most of them are telepathic. and are on a really high spectrum. So I think it's going to be fascinating to see how all these new ones, these new babies coming in, do.
What they're gonna
But
be like.
yes,
Yeah.
there is patterns. There's men are becoming more open to healing the divine feminine and the divine sacred, and I absolutely just celebrate that when a man can say, I'm doing my own shadow work and I'm healing, and I want you to hold a space for me. And I'm just like, yay. Absolutely. Because they're allowing themselves, and I know that seems silly, but not in the society that I grew up in. I mean, men weren't supposed to do stuff like that, or weren't allowed to, or if they did, it had to be in secret.
Yes.
And they're actually, the men in the ages between, I would say, all the way from 25 to 65 are really doing this really deep shadow work. They're healing themselves. They're doing tantra to open up all their channels, and not just the sexual tantra. I mean, actual like the breath work, the true yogic tantric experience of becoming whole. And I think it's just so important for people to know that it's okay to come out and ask for help. So
yeah, I think that's huge.
It
What
is.
do you do to keep yourself positive and refreshed between doing all of your sessions?
I have to be in nature. I would love to be in the ocean in Hawaii, but I have to be alone a lot more. But nature is definitely how I recharge.
Yes. Have you ever run across people who are very interested in helping people but can't figure out what to do? Almost like volunteers who chose to be here but can't remember what they were going to be doing.
Yes, I actually do come across a lot of people like that. And they're usually surprised when I say they have these gifts or abilities, or I see it in their program or their file or their Akashic record. And but the beauty of it is they have free will. So there's actually a lot of intuitive people right now, but because they abuse their power in another life, they won't even go there. And that's okay. They can choose their own path.
Well, suppose they want to know, like you hear it a lot. People are like, what's my purpose? What's my soul's purpose? What am I supposed to be doing? How do you help people like that?
I hold a space and get the stuff out of the way for them to see their own truth. Because I can only be a guide, a tour guide, basically, to that part of them, because I would never be able to tell them directly, you have to go down this road or study with this person. I give them suggestions of things that they can do. I do share people who would be helpful to maybe something that they're invested in, but there also is that I don't want to say it's a problem, but marriage and religion and these sacred unions sometimes interfere with somebody who has a gift of healing, but they think that there's a darkness to it, or they have the gift of light language or something along those lines. And it doesn't fall in suit or in line with a religious belief or a family belief. And so they'll suppress it. And there's nothing I can do for them at that point. They've made their choice. And the beauty of this work is it's like cracking a door open. And if you let enough light in, somebody's going to get curious and walk through. And you just hold the space for that energy to move. and it starts to move.
Do you find that you come across people who get upset that you're not giving them the answers and you're not
Yes.
telling them what to do? I find in my own practice, not so much anymore, but like, especially when I started out, I think now I have curated my people enough that I have people who know that the journey is just important as the destination. But I think that when people first start out or they first come to people like us, they want to be told, well, what do I do? Well, you do this. They want to be led around. And the thing is, that's not what it's about, or at least that's not what it should be about. We're not cult leaders. Like, that's, if you want something like that, there's people who will gladly take advantage of you. That's not what we're here for. We're here to open up who you are, not who we want you to be or need you to be. So,
I basically tell people that if they have to call me more than 3 or 4 times in 1 year, that's too much, because I'm not in this to get rich. I'm here to just guide and teach and, like I said, open the door for them. But I do expect people to do their own work, and a lot of people don't like that. So that's what I mean when I say not everybody's ready for this work.
Yes.
But basically, if I can get as many people as possible in their new upgrades, and not just me, but there's so many amazing people out there that can do this for them too, that it's just gonna get rid of all that other stuff, so we don't have to carry it over. In one of my near deaths, I saw that life is a big rewind, replay, different, so if you don't get it right in this life, that's okay. But if you have the opportunity to never have to come back and learn these horrible, painful lessons, then I am your person to say, yay, we don't have to rewind and replay this with different characters in a different location and a different planet or a different, timeline. You can actually be free from that and come back fully awake and aware, hopefully fully awake and aware, and know that we are one with source, and it's in all of us. We're, with every breath, with every star, with every plant, with every animal, we're all one big, beautiful, amazing vibration. So I just, like I said,
about Monet Key rights?
I have no idea what that is. I don't go out looking for new information because it just gets in the way of what I'm here to channel.
So now I'm going to brag on you. It's my time to start bragging on you.
Okay.
So we started working together. When did we start? Maybe a month ago. We started with this particular process. I mean, we've worked together for over a decade at this point. But with this particular process, we ended up getting in touch with each other, as we always do when one or the other of us needs the other. It's just like, hey, I had a dream about you last night. What's going on? That kind of stuff between the two of us, which I love. It makes life so much easier.
Yes. Yeah.
So she offered to do this with me, and I jumped on the chance. And I have to say, I feel so much more, I'm going to say alive. I feel more healthy. I feel, one of the things which is funny is I feel taller. Yeah, I don't know whether I actually got taller or not, but I'm not the only one who sees this. I've seen people who look at me and they're like, are you wearing heels or something? And I'll be like, no, I'm still, like, as far as I know, 5'3" 3/4, and but I feel taller. I feel bigger. I've had big energy for a long time. I'm a Leo, but I just feel more clear, and I feel like I can process more. And
Good.
I feel My dream states have been really interesting. I definitely feel like I am accomplishing things when I'm asleep. And sometimes I hate to come out of it because I like that place better.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
I
know.
I do wake up eventually. But it really is a feeling of being like clean and strong and a feeling of being renewed. And I would say that I feel like I felt when I was much younger, but it's not that. It's a different level. It's a different level of clarity. It's a different level. Like I'm not feeling um, the anxiety that I had as a kid. I'm not feeling judged. I'm
Nice.
not feeling,
That's awesome.
you know, like there's just so much that it's really interesting when I sit there and think about it to see how much things have changed and that I'm much more at peace.
Good.
So like the peacefulness is there. And I feel like that's something that we all say that we want, but
Mhm.
very few people actually come to a place where they get to actually feel that and have that be a constant. So I've taught about self-empowerment since 1994 and about having joy as your undercurrent. And
Mhm.
this feels even deeper than that. It feels a little bit different. It just feels like I feel like I'm a balloon and I'm just in the sky and I'm just like I'm ready
Bliss.
to go. Yeah, it's really powerful. Really feels good. And I really look forward to the next session that we're
Well, and I don't know if you want me to share what I saw when we first started, but
sure.
so what I ask people to do is not tell me anything. And they'll say, "Well, do you want to know my story?" And I'm like,
No.
"No." I just want to go in and see what they show me.
Mhm.
And I say they because I work with the Ascended Masters and I work with the Melchizedeks and I work with the White Brotherhood, obviously, which is the Melchizedeks. I work with angels and uh, some higher dimensional beings. But as soon as I tapped into Geralyn, I had to completely pull myself away from her because behind her was like this black hole. So that is where all that energy of her being so tired was, that when she incarnated into this world, there was a part of her that stayed there. And she was standing, if you were standing in a doorway, but then there was this suction being pulled behind you. I mean, she was literally in two
I
worlds.
have a good analogy for that. If anybody's seen Harry Potter and the episode where they're fighting in I think it was the Order of the Phoenix, and there's that mirror there that will suck them in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like standing in front of that all the time and constantly having to focus above and
Mm-hmm.
out to keep my energy going above and out instead of falling backwards, because I could have very easily have fallen backwards many times. But go ahead.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's where she was having, accidents, like getting hit, rear-ended. There were all these things happening in her life. And I had to pull myself completely away from that because I felt like I was going to be pulled back, and that's how powerful this was.
Mhm.
So once I recalibrated and got myself out of there and allowed Source to fill it up, then we put her in this perfect Merkaba, and that's what her soul showed me she needed.
Mhm.
And so every single person, it's completely different. And at this point, I'm 100% accurate with everybody that has called me. And I can usually find the source of what is causing a lot of their issues in this life, whether it's with relationships, whether it's with work, money. It's just, again, a program that gets installed, and some of them get mucked with. There's a lot of things around us that mess with our energies, and they come in through these really tricky little devices that they put on our graves or something in other lifetimes. And then all they have to do is reactivate some kind of a, let's use the word blood pact, or forever and ever, amen. You know, these, when people say, I'll love you forever, I'll always find you, I'll always come for
Yeah.
you. Well, don't do that, because
Yeah.
they will always find you and come for you. And it might not be good. So it's interesting how I see information. And again, I am just a conduit for source. I don't take any credit for what I do, because it's not me helping people. It's me choosing to allow myself, how do I word that? I allow myself to be a vessel of source, but I have to get out of my own way.
Mhm.
Because the minute I put my own spin on things or my own ego, then things will change for the reading.
Exactly.
And that's why I have to completely disconnect.
And it's the story, because that's the biggest thing I find, is that people are so attached to their story and they
Right.
want to know the story, and it's the story. Well, the story solidifies things.
Mhm.
That's what makes you stuck. You don't need
Right.
to know the story. It's fascinating and all that, but you know, you can read a book, just doesn't have to be your story. And it's what we need to let go of. And if you're letting go of something, you don't need to look at it and dissect it and hold on to it. Like, I feel like that's part of culturally, like we define ourselves by our stories.
But the beauty of that as well is that you can recreate your own character and your own story. And so as important it is to let it go, it's just as important to recreate something that you really want.
Exactly.
And again, it might not manifest in this lifetime, but it will most certainly manifest if you come back again.
Mhm.
So my biggest message to people is to be conscious all the time and to check in with themselves, because with everything that's being told, it's information download in our world. It's overload of just misinformation. And I have to check with everything I watch. And I check in with myself and say, does this feel like truth? And even if I'm having a dream or a vision, I'll dissect it, because I won't just run with it, just like the most recent one you and I discussed. But it's like, okay, I got to figure out where was my head at when I was thinking this? Is this me using this information? Or is it really coming from source? And I think that's what keeps me sane, because I know a lot of people who do this work and they're really good, but they're kind of way out there. And I try to stay grounded all the time and think, okay, well, if I was, a muggle, how would I need to talk to somebody? And again, you can't feed a steak to a baby. You got to make it edible. You got to break things down for people in a manner that they will be able to.
You have to meet people where they're
digest it. Yeah.
So,
which is probably my biggest challenge.
Yeah, I hear you there. 2 more quick questions, and then I think we're going to wrap up so that we can get to where people are asking us things directly.
Sure.
So the first question, which I don't know if you've answered this already, kind of, but it says that there's a lot of people sharing ideas and spiritual and metaphysical things out there. Have you found, or who have you found to be inspirational?
Masajati. He pretty much is the reason why I was able to get myself back together. Him and I had near-death experiences around the same time. I took a master healing class with him in Boulder in 2012, and I have followed him ever since. And he is absolutely phenomenal. I don't do what he does because he's on a whole nother level than me. But he allowed me to pull myself back together, because when he found me, he said I looked like 3 pieces of paper that have been split. And like I was just barely hanging into this life. He has been enormously helpful in my
So say the
life.
name again.
Mas Sajadi, Massajdy, I think.
Okay.
D-A-Y.
Well, which leads to the next question. How would you know if you are in two worlds, and how would you fix that?
Well, one of my mantras that I tell everybody, and when they do a session with me, is so we're always in these multidimensional spaces. And I ask Source to pull us into this current time and space, that all dimensions, all timelines, all universes, and all worlds, whatever is in my highest and best good, I pull it now all into this current timeline. Because I work in, I don't know how many dimensions.
Yeah.
9?
Yeah.
Something like that. But I don't, I will say, it's not hard for me, but it took a lifetime of becoming a master meditator. And I think if everybody could learn how to master their mind, you can master anything. And that came to me through meditation.
Okay. So is there anything else that you want to add, or anything that you want to do before we wrap up?
If this is a good time to do a meditation.
Sure. And do you want me to do the bowl to start us off, or?
Sure. How long do we have to do this? I'm just going to do like a grounding, maybe clearing exercise.
Sure.
Okay.
We could do some. All right. And then after we're done, I'm going to give everybody, we'll wrap up. And then you guys will have like 5 minutes to take a potty stop. And then we'll start the discussion. Okay. So let's take a deep breath. And I think I'm going to unpin myself. So it'll just be you.
Okay. Take a deep breath. And I call in Archangel Michael to connect with everyone on this call, and everyone through YouTube, or anyone who may or at some point watch this video. I ask you to do a full sweep and clear of all miscreated energies to everyone above and below, including myself. Then I ask Archangel Raphael to come forth, prepare the body for full healing. And Archangel Metatron, open up the heavens so that we may have a clear and connect with Source. And Source, I ask you to connect me to Master and above, calling in my ascended masters, the White Brotherhood of Healers, the Melchizedeks, the divine physicians, and all the beings of light who wish to assist us in this process at this time. Come forth now. And Source, I ask that you do a full clearing of everyone on this call, of all past lives, all miscreated energy, all trauma in any current timeline or past lives. I ask you to go into the cellular memory and reactivate that to your divine blueprint at this time. And I ask that all the chakras be spinning in the right direction. Recalibrate, realign, and re-energize everybody on this call. We call on the golden light of protection, the platinum ray of protection, the violet flame of protection. We ask this to be moved into a figure 8 in the infinity symbol. Move this energy in and around their being. Drop down all energy that does not serve them at this time. Go into the astral field. Reestablish and align them to source. Tearing down any parasitic energies, any gateways, pinholes, bridges, anything in and around their being that may be interfering in their current time and space. Dismantle, deactivate all devices. Close up any rips, tears, holes, pinpricks, and fill it with the Christed light and that of Source. Yahweh, Yahshua, Holy Mother Mary, and Cosmic Mother, I ask you to rebalance and recalibrate, realign all these beautiful people on this call, reestablishing their divine blueprint. Go into their quantum field and drop down all the miscreated energy. Deactivate all devices, implants, anything that's in and around their being, anything known or unknown that I may not know to ask for. Please go into their field now and clear them. And I ask you to go into the quantum space and do a full clearing of all past lives and any miscreated energy. Drop down all energy cords, dismantle all devices. Remove any watchers, psychic attacks, distorted energies. Deactivate all devices that are actively listening and trying to interfere in their free will. We call back your power now from all timelines, all dimensions, all universes, and all world. And we ask that you release all the energy that you may have taken from others, known or unknown. And we send it back to them now, whole and complete. And I call on the beautiful many, mighty Elohim, and the creators of the universe in the highest frequency possible, connected to source. All those who are here, incarnate beings, astral beings, anything who wishes to be healed and forgiven, lifted and enlightened. We send you now back to source for retraining. And you are free to go with unconditional love, forgiveness, compassion, and kindness. We release you from our fields and we give you free will from now until the end of time. And then I ask all those who wish to be healed and forgiven and lifted and enlightened and downloaded with the divine blueprint. You may do so now with your own free will, claiming all your gifts and powers and abilities of everything that you may have known, maybe in a previous life or even in a future life. Align with your highest frequency possible now. Spin everything else out of your field that does not serve you at this time. We ask Source to recalibrate, reactivate, and fill all the holes and openings and all the rips and tears with your golden light of protection. And we ask that to be poured now over the top of your head, filling all those holes with the purest, highest frequency possible. Over your neck and shoulders, all the way down your chest and your back, your spine. Golden light of protection goes all the way down your belly, your legs, and your feet. And we pull you fully back into this current time and space, calling back your power from all timelines, all dimensions, all universes, and all worlds. And we ground you into the earth now. And then we ask Source to send up an additional layer of protection of the platinum ray of protection and the Christed light all the way up and around the golden light, as if you were in a sphere or an egg, and we pull it all the way back up around your legs, back up your belly, and your back, all the way back up to your arms, your neck, your head, and all the way back up to Source. And I command that Archangel Metatron create maximum shields of protection with the sacred grid of protection and sacred geometry for everyone who wishes to do this work, everyone who wishes to be fully aligned and awake and aware in this current time and space, so they may move forward in their future endeavors, known or unknown. Let their eyes be clear to see, let their hearts be open to love, their ears be open to hear, and their mind be clear to think and see all their gifts and abilities. We open the door of opportunity, abundance, financial abundance, unconditional love in all areas of their life. We heal the inner child, bring everything back to the divine blueprint so they may see clearly, hear clearly, speak clearly, and know their truth. And I pull my energy back, seal me off with the Christed light, pulling me back into my current time and space. And we ask you to do the same for everyone on this call. Seal them off, fill them with the Christed light, the highest frequency possible with source energy. And we thank all those who assisted us now during this session. Fully awake, fully aware, and fully aligned.
Okay, sounds awesome.
So how did everybody do?
I think we
Hopefully
did.
you could hear me.
Oh yeah,
Good.
you sounded good. So now we're going to, this is the last little bit. Where can people find you, Kalea?
I'm on Facebook, Instagram. I think you have my link
Yes.
to my
Your
website.
Mhm.
My email is heatherkalea@gmail.com. And all my information is on my website. So again, I don't advertise or do this work. Everything I get is through referrals. But I have a feeling I'm going to be doing things on a more grander scale. And hopefully get into more teaching, because I do one-on-ones, but I'd like to do more group-based teaching. And maybe if we could ever get out of this COVID nightmare, we can actually all get together again and have workshops again and do things like that.
That will be awesome. We are looking forward to it. So I'll put all your information below when we're on YouTube. And other than that, you are on meetup.com. at Mystery, Mystics, and Metaphysics. I have in today's description all of your information along with a link to another meditation that you've done. Thank you so much for being here today. You truly are a blessing, and you have been a blessing to me since the moment I met you.
Mahalo, sister.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to stop the recording now. And if you have any questions for Heather and you have any problem finding her information, you know that I am everywhere, Geralyn St. Joseph, and you can text me, email me, all that good stuff. We will see you next time on Mystery, Mystics, and Metaphysics. Mahalo.
Mahalo.